Welcome to BSR TV for the iRacing Skip Barber Series Round 5 from Okayama International with me, Chris Cohen, and joining me in the commentary box is Matt Dalton. Evening, Matt.
Evening, Chris. Evening, everybody.
We're live from Japan this evening for Round 5, and the drivers are still practicing because the session has been slightly delayed. We're running about 10 minutes behind schedule at the moment, which means there's a little bit of a delay before we're going to get the qualifying session up on your screen. But as usual, we'll have about a 20-minute qualifying session and about a 30-minute race for you this evening. And why don't we start off, Matt? Let's have a quick look at the championship. The action last time out was from Gilles Villeneuve, and it was thrilling right up until the end of the race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really hard fought, really close race with some cracking battles the entire length of the field.
And leading the standings at the moment is Wojtek Savidovic. Honestly, that is how you say it, I think, last time I checked. Anyway, he has transferred as well from the Unpronounceables. That's no longer his team. But he is leading the championship by only 6 points at the moment from Simon Hulbert. He's just 6 points behind there, Hulbert. And Hulbert's been impressive, hasn't he?
Yeah, Simon is a regular in the Skippy series, and he's one of the guys to definitely keep an eye on.
Martin Peck is about 30 points behind at third place, but Peck was the winner last time out in Gilles Villeneuve, so it just goes to show we don't really know anything about, the top 4 or 5 guys are, going to be the same each time. We just don't know what order.
Yeah, absolutely. They are incredibly closely matched, and it's going to be a very close-fought race and close-fought series. And Martin, last time out, was very impressive. Stayed second the entire race, and then took the lead with a last lap move. And
there was a coming together as well between Savidovic and Hulbert on the last corner, wasn't there?
Yeah, a little bit of handbags out and a bit of bumping and bashing. That was quite good fun.
All went down in good humour at the end of the day, so that's all good. Rob Green, meanwhile, is in 4th. Mark Mercer's 5th. Blake Townend, who came second, close fought second in the last race, he's in 6th place in the championship, and he's the top running entry in the Radicals racing team. Another one to watch out for this evening as well.
Absolutely, and Blake is as a lot of people will know, is a former professional driver. You're on iRacing and racing the World Championship at that level, so his ability speaks for itself, really.
And I had the joy of racing against Blake this week in iRacing. I do actually get behind the wheel sometimes as well as the microphone, but it was a good race. Bathurst, always a challenge, and so. Just goes to show, even if they're the top guys, you can still come across them in your daily forays in the world of iRacing. Simon Povey was absent last week. He's 7th place in the championship. He's going to be looking to make up a few points today. Paul Grillo, who you had no end of jabs for last week, in jest on the microphone.
That's a bit harsh. I think he'll only get the same treatment as anybody else.
Yeah, of course. 8th place. He's the top entry in Purple Helmet Racing, and Bobby Bramley is 9th. Dave Grunhill, who we saw last week get taken out by, unfortunately, by Luke Ridgway, is running in 10th place. And I don't believe, did Grunhill finish last week? I don't think he did.
I'm not sure he did. I'm pretty sure by the end of the race he had a face like a bulldog chewing a hand grenade. So I'm pretty sure he sat the end out.
Brilliant. Right, the 11 to 20 then. Alan Patterson and Luke Ridgway are sharing 11th place. Stuart Adcock, the higher placing Adcock brother, father, son, I'm not sure, to be honest. Team Opposite Luck, anyway, 13th. Hefford is 14th. Phil Jocelyn is 15th. He's back in action this week as well, I believe. Sam Everest, Mark O'Connell share that 15th spot, and Steve Richardson is in 18th. The lower placed Adcock is Tim Adcock in 19th, and Alberto Gravili shares that 19th place with him to round out the top 20. But in the lower orders, Matt, it's all very tight, and it could go, a heavy scoring driver could take a lot of places here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same all the way through. There's close racing throughout the entire field, so anybody who's on their game can make up a few points, and especially for the championship, that could make things very interesting towards the end.
Yeah, definitely, and there is a lot more entries in the championship. We can't go through them all, unfortunately. There's just too many to cover. But Okayama is an interesting proposition. It's not the first time the series has been to Japan this year, but Okayama is one of those circuits that was it used to be an F1 circuit. You knew that, right?
I didn't actually. No, it's that surprises me a little bit. I got to be honest.
And it just fell out of favour because it is just, if you saw in the intro video, it's in the middle of nowhere. There's no facilities. It's just paddy fields all around. Just classic rural Japan.
And it would be absolutely unheard of for Formula One to go anywhere that would be out in the middle of nowhere with nobody anywhere near it. I mean, that would be completely ridiculous. God, North Korea.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's always that. There's a lot of politics in Formula One and things like that decide those kind of things. But Suzuka has the Formula One these days, as you know, and really Okayama is still used these days, but nothing like what it used to be. And it's not particularly. I mean, it is fairly wide for some of the iRacing tracks that we see, but not hugely wide and quite twisty.
Yeah, it is. There's some nice sections to it, but they're very few and far between. And by and large, it consists of sort of first or second gear hairpins or 90-degree bends. It's a little bit Mickey Mouse, really. I'll be honest. It surprises me that it was a Formula One track. Was there a previous version of it that was unedited, or?
It could well be that. That might be stretching the boundaries of my particular knowledge, but it is. The skips do struggle around here. I've got to say, we might see some incidents. We've got some interesting corners. The hairpin, which is called hairpin corner, imaginatively enough, is one of those corners you need to get the braking point exactly right for that. Too late and you're off in the gravel on the outside. You can see a few drivers fall foul of that, and then the uphill double hairpin section later on is also interesting because that poses a lot of challenge. You've got a very, very short straight in between those two hairpins, and drivers wanting to get on the power a little bit early at the end of the first one might end up entering the second one backwards, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's a challenging track for the Skip Barber car. It's a car that likes to break loose on corner entry and is slightly less predictable than you'd like at slow speed, and the nature of this track means that quite often there's a lot of seesawing at the wheel required to get the most out of it. And being that these cars require you to keep the momentum up so much, this track probably separates the field more than somewhere like perhaps Montreal that we had last week would.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that is a modern Grand Prix circuit, Gilles Villeneuve, so you've got all the kind of mod cons, the safety features and the wide runoff areas and things like that. And then Okayama's not too bad, but there are some elements there where it is a little bit challenging, shall we say. We got about 2.5 minutes left in this practice session before we go into the qualifying, and I'm wondering if we might be able to get a little bit of footage for you. As we see Blake Townend just get a little bit sideways, I was wondering if we might be able to go around with him for a while, but we will pick someone else to do that. I think most people are taking a break from this at the moment, but let's go on board with your man of the moment from last week, Matt, Paul Grillo. Just having a look at him go around now as we round out the session, just to give the viewers some idea of exactly how low down you are in this car and how limited the view is as well. Open wheel, of course, so you get a good sense of what your front wheels are doing, but that low perspective that you've got on the track makes the apex just quite hard to see occasionally.
Yeah, that's true, and it's as I said, it's a car that likes to slip and slide around. Paul on a really good time here, actually. He's P4 in this section and right on pace with the top guys, so this is clearly a track that's decided to suit his abrasive style. Abrasive style,
I like it. And he was upper mid finish last time, wasn't he? And he's looking to do a lot better this time round in the purple helmet racing machine. I would have thought, as well as a purple helmet, he might have had a purple car, but it's definitely not. It's bright red and yellow.
It's very distinctive, actually. I quite like the paint job on that, I've got to be honest.
And,
there's a bit of lawnmower technique there.
Yeah, well, it saves the groundsman a little bit of work at least, and you can just see there on the corner entry, it's very twitchy. It's one of those cars that forces you to be smooth and steady, otherwise it has a tendency to bite back.
Yeah, absolutely, and as we said, the nature of this track and the slow corners are really where this thing likes to slip and slide around the most.
There's a lot of sideways action from Paul's car there, but I mean, what do you think? Was some of the GT racing and the others the cars like that, they tend to react quite well when you get the sort of loose setups, the ones that tend to twitch, but the drivers can keep them under control. But with an open wheel car, do you want it to twitch around like that?
It seems to be the way that the Skip Barber, the next one, which is the Formula Mazda, the Star Mazda car, that the quickest way to drive those cars is with it very loose on corner entry, especially. Whether that's the fastest way or not, I suppose, depends a lot on your own driving style. But certainly the very quick guys, who like your Blake Townend, the thing is dancing around all over the place.
The session has now officially finished, the practice at least. Just to remind you viewers, if you're just tuning in or have just tuned in, we're about 10 minutes late for some reason this evening. I haven't got confirmation on exactly why that is for you. We'll try and find out. But we'll just see all the cars. Wow, it's like a swarm of angry bees, angry pointy bees heading out of the pits there to start the qualifying session. They do know they got 20 minutes, right?
You'd think so, but apparently not. Tactics go right out the window, bit of driver red mist descends, and everybody wants to get out and have a fight, so...
Indeed, and it's not like in the British Touring Car series, the other series we cover here on BSR TV regularly, where, you know, you've got 40 cars sometimes on a sub 1 minute lap, so that qualifying, doesn't matter when you start qualifying, you're in a tight pack, almost. At Okayama it's a fairly long track, not the fastest cars in the world, and we're looking at 28 entries at the moment, so there should be, as most of the cars are now out of the pits, as they should be able to spread out a little bit, hopefully.
You'd think they'd spread out. They're gonna have a bit of jockeying for position. I'm sure they will, because they want to give yourself a clean run. I think Paul and Mark Mercer look like they're backing off a little bit here.
So we're following that yellow-nosed machine from Paul Grillo at the moment, and the drivers will get as many qualifying laps as they like in this session, and just a case of getting to the front of the grid. But Hulbert's fast, isn't he? He has been fast most of the time, and we just see him in the background there. He is very fast, especially on, well, he's taken 2 out of the last 4 races, and he's finished with a podium position in Gilles Villeneuve as well.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure he was as happy and jovial as he let on at the end of that race either. I think he was smiling and laughing and joking about how much fun it was and whatever, but I suspect that underneath that he was probably a little bit more miffed, shall we say, and I think he definitely felt that he had the pace to challenge for the win if he'd not got caught up with Wodge, and because they cost each other a fair bit of time battling together.
They did, and it's this man he got caught up with. In fact, we're on board now with Wojtek Savidovic as he comes into turn number 2. Williams there, he's just had his outlap, so this is his first flying lap. He's got one of the Radicals machines up in front of him, and being a Radicals driver shouldn't slow him down too much, if at all, on this lap.
No, it's actually Blake in front of him.
And there's Blake Townend in front of him, and he gets a bit wide on the exit there. There is a big drafting effect, and Savidovic will use that to his advantage down this straight. Probably won't catch the car in front of him. This is the longest straight on the circuit now as they come down into turn 5, the hairpin. Just brake as late after that 100 marker as you dare, but not too late as you end up in the gravel. And a nice entry, nice exit, and he's coming into the downhill left-hander here, and I don't want to take too much curb there. You can see the car reacting on the adverse camber as they come off the corner, and Townend getting a bit loose up ahead, but Savidovic, it's only his first lap here as he comes into the S's section of the track. He won't be too disappointed if the time's not too quick here. Right on the exhaust of Townend's red and black machine up in front, coming through the second of those corners. Just 2 more turns to go now. The fast accelerating right-hander, and then just a dab of brakes now, and the all-important final corner to get back onto the start-finish straight. It's looking pretty good. Try not to collect too much dirt on the way out of the final corner. Over the start-finish line for Savidovic, and it is a 1:45.4 for Savidovic. That puts him on pole. That is quite a good lap.
Actually, it's
right.
not. It's about just about a second off the fastest lap from practice. So
First
I think
effort,
he's got a fair bit more time to find it.
And the places are all changing round now, Mac, as Mercer takes pole, Streetley second, Lambert third, Grillo fourth, pushes Savidovic down to fifth.
Yeah, I think there's a fair bit more time to get in there. I think these guys are just get out and get a banker lap in, get yourself a time in, and then from there you can push later on.
And this man returning for the SS Racing team, Simon Povey, is coming across the line now. Well, he's it must have been an outlap, surely.
Well, you'd hope so.
So 1:57.
Either that or he may have picked up an off track or something, and that would wipe his time.
Indeed, and it's worth mentioning here that, of course, there's no penalties in terms of safety rating if you have any kind of incidents or anything like that. But there's definitely a penalty in terms of personal reputation, shall we say, if you're one of those drivers who likes to take other people out.
Yeah, you don't want to be awarded the Numpty of the Day award. I think it's these guys are pretty competitive, and they're not going to thank you too much if you turn up and take them all out.
No, absolutely.
Loving the purple, black and yellow colours on Simon Povey's car there. It's Team Ann Summers Racing.
Team Ann Summers, well, it's the official SS Racing colours, so make of that what you will. As we're coming round to the midpoint of the lap here for Povey, and it's a nice sunny day in Okayama, so the track conditions should be pretty good for racing these cars.
Yep, 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 or 3 mile an hour wind, which is not too bad. That's not going to upset the cars too much, and that's probably a good thing for these things, because a bit of a crosswind would probably make these cars a nightmare.
Povey's getting some nice apexes as we see him coming through the final few corners here.
Yeah, a very neat lap.
In the meantime, Savidovic has taken that pole back. He's the first man to get inside the 44-second mark, well, inside the 45-second mark, really, into the 44-second laps, with a 44.984. Over the line goes Simon Povey in 1 minute 45.4, which is good enough.
P7.
P7, thank you. Couldn't see him for a moment there. I thought he might have dropped out of the top 10, but 10th place is currently being picked up by Blake Townend. Now he'll want a higher position than that.
Yeah, surprising to see Blake that far down. He's not usually one who would struggle. You'd think he'd be at the front. He's had a long time off though, and I know Blake is working on some different games and things as well, so I don't know how much time he gets on iRacing these days, so possibly a distraction in the form of other physics models.
Yeah, and it is remarkably well. Even the cars in iRacing, you can go from front wheel drive to rear wheel drive, from GT to open wheel, and that can be enough to put you off. I know that this year's iRacing World Champion Gregor Hutu, basically just in official sessions, they are his World Championship races. That's all there is to speak of. So he focuses on the one car alone, and that works for him. But some of the drivers aren't quite able to pick up such big paychecks in one go and have to chop and change.
Yeah, absolutely. But Gregor is, I think the only way you can describe Gregor is an absolute alien. He is an absolute freak when it comes to sim racing, and he's the fact that he's back-to-back champions and probably recognised to be the quickest sim racer to ever to have lived, probably in the road racing side especially, is a testament enough for him.
And of course, he's proved himself on a real track as well. One man who'll be hoping to improve on his performance last week is Andy Kirchtort, who got a little tag last week and ended up going off the track and out of the race at Gilles Villeneuve quite early on.
Yeah, very strange incident. I think he may have picked up some damage from early on or not, I'm not sure, but he definitely had a bit of a strange moment where he turned off into a wall and decided to flip himself like a pancake, so...
Yeah, it was a very dramatic accident, and a 1:45.7 is the best for Kirchtort at the moment, but he'll be looking to improve on that. He's very much the second place Radicals racing machine at the moment, but if he's got any chance of, if he smells the possibility of getting ahead of Blake on the grid, he'll take it. But Townend currently running 4th, and Streetley, who is a new entry this week, is in 3rd place, so he won't be too disappointed with that.
No, not at all. And George is actually again, is another one of these guys who ran in the Skip Barber series for quite a long time and has taken a bit of a break recently and has just come back to it. But he is, he's accepted as being one of the quicker drivers.
Over the line for Andy Kirchtort once more in a 1:45.8 1:48, a little shade worse than his last lap, so he won't be improving on that too much. And you know, we often talk about this this kind of how close things are in the BTCC leagues, in the Kia Optima. You know, split seconds can make all the difference. There is a wider margin here. We're talking about 0.6 seconds between first to 10th at the moment in the qualifying session. But let's go a little further down the order. Have a look at some of the other drivers that we've got here. Andrew Patterson, for example, currently running 14th, is 1:45.9. So if you can get yourself into the 1:45s, you're about midway down the field. Is that fair?
Yeah, that would seem to be the case at the minute. Saying it is one thing, doing it's quite another. I've done a couple of practice laps around here myself, and my personal best is a 47.1, so I'm shows how far off the pace I am.
And it isn't just down to being super fast in this series. It's, you know, it's more about taking part. There's 20 places of points, so even if you come 20th, you still get some points. So right down in the lower orders, for example, the other Patterson, Alan Patterson, is currently on a 1:51.7, so it's a full 7 seconds off the pace at the moment. He will get quicker before the end of the session, but and you've got
Are they related?
I don't know if they are. You know, are they?
I have no idea. There seems to be a couple in here that seem to be sharing names. I'm wondering if there's some relations, having a bit of family rivalry.
Well, we'll endeavour to find out.
It'll make the Christmas dinner interesting, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah, especially if one's younger son and one is the dad.
And if he happens to take the other one out.
Yes, well, we'll watch out for that on the track. In the meantime, 1:47.7 for Dan Hunt in the new liveried Team Castrol machine, as we just exceed the halfway point in this qualifying session. But is it any indication that, for you, Matt, that some of these drivers, for example, Dan Hunt, Steve Richardson, Steve Hefford, Ellis Stevens, these guys are in the lower or mid-table, but they're sharing with the British Touring Car Championship. So the guys at the very pinnacle of the British Touring Car Championship, your Chepelevsky, Lopez, people like that, they don't share with other official series. Did you think that means that they need to focus on that?
I mean, this is a very hotly contested series, so I would expect that some of these guys at the top put in a little more practice than others. I'm not necessarily sure that, you know, their participation in other series, that you know what that means, but I think they tend to run more the official iRacing series as opposed to some of the leagues that are run in the private series that are run, like for example the Skip Barber series. So.
Dan Hunt just coming round to round out another lap, trying to improve on that 1:47.7. He has on his tail, just in the distance, the two Team SS racing machines. You can see that purple livery in the background, and you can see just from this camera angle just how exposed the rear workings of that car are, and that rear fin, the wing on the back of that car, and the exhaust system is very prone to getting nudged, should we say, from behind.
Yeah, but fortunately it's a little bit like a medallion on Mr. T. It's there for show, and it's not really there to do anything particularly useful. So fortunately you can take a bump or so up the back end and it doesn't wreck your entire day.
And let's see if we can go back on board now with Simon Hulbert. And Hulbert's only running in 7th place. I say only 7th, I mean it's still a pretty good result, but he'll want to improve on that, won't he? He's not finished outside the podium in all season, I don't think. Maybe the first race.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like we said, it's a tough race, it's a tough series, and you know, there were some guys here today that have really upped their game. Paul Grillo, again, in 3rd place, is pushing very, very hard against the top guys. He's only 100th of a second off Blake Townend's time at the moment, so, you know, Simon, if he wants to get himself up the grid, he's going to have to get a wriggle on.
So Mercer has the current pole position in a 1:44.6, with Townend just behind. Grillo just a little shade off that, and Sviridovich is down in 4th place at the moment. Peck 5th, last time's winner. Streetley is 6th, Hulbert 7th, Povey 8th, Green 9th, and Lambert in 10th place. And right on the tail now of Dan Hunt. Will Dan Hunt move over?
If he's on a quick lap, he doesn't have to. It doesn't really matter how much the red mist the guy behind you gets. You're not. There's no need for you to move out of the way unless you have to. So
5 minutes left then in the qualifying session. Hulbert needs to get round or slow down, one or the other.
I think he's going to make a move. Yeah, probably dive bomb you. Dan Hunt, who was given a bit of a challenge and is quite confident in himself today. He challenged and said that there's absolutely no way whatsoever we'd be able to give him any stick out on the track, as he has a talenectomy and takes to the gravel. He seemed to be pretty confident about his chances earlier.
He did, and he's improved his time as well, so he's now 21st on the grid, and his teammate is Steve Hefford, who is just behind him really in 24th with a 147.6. And again, this series is about having fun. There's no real prizes involved. There are some top drivers in it, but it doesn't mean that you can't enter it and get a good haul of points yourself down in a 10th or 20th position spot. So these guys probably know that they're never going to be challenging for pole positions and things like that, but they've got a lot of guys to race with, similar sort of talent all around them, haven't they? And it just gets gradually more progressively fast as you get towards the front of the grid.
Yeah, there's always good racing, and it's a good fun series to run in. And for anybody who's sat watching who's not on iRacing or doesn't necessarily run in this series, it's worth jumping in. And for the guys who aren't on iRacing, it's definitely worth having a look at. And Stephen Hefford is frankly a lovely guy and an absolute wonderful human being, and the most talented driver in the field, I have to say, at the moment. And I'm in no way biased because he's selling me his T500.
And let's just come back to that point about iRacing at the moment. What would you need if you're watching this and you're not actually into this form of sim racing or any sim racing? What would you need to get involved in iRacing?
Relatively simple. I think as long as you have a wheel and pedals of some description, then you're away to go. There is some good deals out there to be picked up for a couple of months with some decent content as well. It can get expensive as you get into it, but the way the system works and the way that you can structure things, you don't need to spend an absolute fortune. So if you have a wheel and you have a set of pedals, or you're thinking of getting a wheel and a set of pedals, then it's definitely worth a look. I'd recommend it to anyone.
And there is a monthly subscription involved, isn't there?
Yes, there is, yeah.
So that's about, what, $10 a month?
I think if you pay monthly, it's $12 a month, but quite frequently there are deals on, and there's just been one recently now where you could renew for $50 for the entire year. So that's 35 quid, I think. It's not much.
Not really for a whole year of this level, and it's important to stress, isn't it, that the safety rating concept, when you go a little bit to that.
Yeah, I mean, iRacing runs two things that are critical to the way that it runs in. It's an entirely multiplayer experience, really. You have the safety rating, which counts your number of incidents you have per lap. Incident can be putting a wheel off track, having a spin, or the worst thing you can have is a 4x incident, which is when you bump into someone or wreck your own car. The less incidents you have, the better you drive, then the faster you go up through the ranks and get to race in the bigger and better series with the bigger and better cars. The second thing that it has is what they call iRating, which is based on your finishes versus other people with skill levels, and what that really does is work out your own skill level. And then the way that iRacing groups the races means that you're always racing people with a similar skill level to yourself. So the theory is that you're always racing people of similar abilities, so you never really find yourself in an official series race where you get blown away.
And that's the thing that really distinguishes it from the other simulations, is not just being matched with people at a similar skill level, but being matched on a skill level where you're going to get reasonable racing, and there's not just going to be people kind of wrecking you all the time.
Yeah, it's a series it's a service that prides itself on its community and the quality of the racing. And I'll be honest, it's the thing that's kept me on iRacing for the last year and a bit now is really that nothing else I've done in sim racing has the same clean, competitive multiplayer racing. It just is very good at what it does. It perhaps doesn't have the best physics model out there. I know that with Assetto Corsa being released recently, it's there are other ones that are giving it a real push, but what it clearly has is the advantage on multiplayer at the moment.
That's a huge other can of worms that we will leave firmly closed, I think, with the Assetto Corsa for the moment, because we're into the final minute of the qualifying session here at Okayama, round 5 in the Skip Barber series here on BSR TV. And Mark Mercer, this blue machine, the purple helmet racing machine, is currently on pole position, and the other purple helmet driver, Paul Grillo, is in 4th position, so it's looking good for those guys. Zaridovic is just 0.068 behind in 2nd place, so what can he do on his, what will be his final lap?
He's going to be giving it everything. He's got Blake right up his chuff as well, so those two are having a little bit of a personal. Blake's just gone pole, actually. 44.555.
Zaridovic was unable to improve on his time, so Blake Townend is now pole position, Mercer is 2nd, and Zaridovic is 3rd, with Grillo unchanged in 4th, as Townend is off into the hole, so that's
he's binned it.
The end of his qualifying session. But in actual fact, Zaridovic will get another lap out here, because he was over the line before the session finished, although he's not taking it.
He's pulled over. No,
he's not taking it. That's interesting. So
I think he moved over to let Blake by in the first corner.
So yeah, he sacrificed his lap by doing that, and let's see if there's anyone else out there. Peck is currently in 5th place, GR Racing, their highest entry. What can he do on his last lap, as he's, well, he might have just invalidated it with that foray into the gravel, but let's hope not.
Yeah, as we were saying with iRacing, obviously the incident count, if you get an incident on a qualifying lap, that invalidates the lap, and that little kick of dust may just mean that that's invalidated the lap.
Pretty sure he would have bailed out of the lap now if he thought it wasn't valid, so he should still be good. So let's see what he can do just coming over the line.
Using every inch of track there, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and just 1 corner to go now as well. He's going to go very wide as well.
That'll knacker it. That's definitely going to have knackered it.
Well, it's only 2 wheels, because the green part of that runoff area is part of the circuit. And it's not an improvement, so he's 0.3 of a second off, and that about wraps up the qualifying session. Ellis Stevens just coming through the final corner, currently in 20th place, so hoping to improve on 146.6.
Dan Hunt giving it absolutely everything back here as well, slipping and sliding like a greasy weasel.
146.7, no improvement for Stevens, so he remains in 20th place, and Hulbert just narrowly avoids beating his time. So Hulbert is going to be starting 7th, which is going to be uncharacteristically low for him.
Yep, that's going to be interesting to see if he can fight back.
So the grid for round 5 is Townend, Mercer, Zaridovic, Grillo, Peck, Povey, Hulbert, and that makes it very, very interesting, doesn't it? Because Blake Townend proved last week he is very quick off the line.
Yep.
And I want to see what he can do in this race.
Top 8 guys covered by half a second there as well.
It's going to be a very close race, I think. And with the draft down the start-finish straight and the back straight as well, this could be interesting, couldn't it? Because it's going to be difficult to get away.
Yeah, this is going to be. It's always going to be an interesting race. I'm not sure the draft is as critical here as it is at some other tracks. Certainly not probably compared to Montreal or Road America.
Let me just see the grid forming up there on your screen. So Simon Hulbert and Simon Povey are the 2 guys making up the SS Racing team. They're both in the top 7 there, so they've got a little bit of work to do. Andy Kirsch taught the other driver for the Radicals Racing team is in 12th place. So he didn't manage to, well, no one managed to beat Blake in the end. It's a very fast time. But the two purple helmet drivers will be very happy with their qualifying positions, and they are the 2 on the front of the grid, well, on the left hand side of the front there, so the blue and the red. The blue is the car of Mark Mercer, and the red is the car of Paul F. Grillo, just behind there with a yellow nose. But on pole, the red and black machine, split down the middle, is Blake Townend. He's got an outside pole here. Would you rather be on the outside?
I think I would rather be on the outside. It's the racing line, so you would expect that there would be a little bit more grip on the left-hand side. Well, it's interesting. I think he took what the MotoGP guys would call the Hector Barber approach there, and just stuck himself behind Wodge and used him as a target to drag him round for that lap. So
And the lights are on here at Okayama for round 5 of the iRacing Skip Barber series. Blake Townend will lead them off the line as they come down the second
Good start
half
by
of the
coming up through the middle there.
Absolutely, and we'll just have a quick look at Blake Townend coming down into the first corner. He's got Mark Mercer on his inside. I don't think Mercer's going to get quite round as they're all filtering through now through turns 2 and 3, and they're all keeping it quite clean.
A little bit of an incident at the back, but...
Oh, 2 cars backwards at the back, and they're too far off in the distance to see who they are, I'm afraid. And we'll pick up on that if we can. Townend does hold the lead then, so it's Townend from Mercer. And Savidovic down the inside, he won't make that work. And, the SS Racing boys are already looking to pick up a few places here as we head down to the first of the long straight, so this is where the draft comes into effect, and if Mercer can, he'll make it work for him. You can see on the left hand side of your picture there in the back, there's all 4 GR Racing. There's like a whole pack of GR Racing machines, the white and green ones there. Savidovic again poking his nose down the inside, having a quick look. He's not close enough, so he'll have to settle for 3rd position.
Simon Hulbert making a move at the back there as well.
Now it's Hulbert and Povey as well, at the same sort of position on the track. So Povey is just behind Hulbert at the moment. Hulbert's running in 5th, that first purple machine. Povey in 6th, and these guys won't want to race each other at this stage.
That looked a bit of a lunge to me, but then I think again Simon Hulbert probably just feels that he's had a bad qualifying and seems to think he's a lot quicker than Paul Grillo here, so he's not going to want to hang around because the 3 at the front are making a move again.
They are. After the first lap, they've already got just over half a second on the red machine there of Paul Grillo, who was very fast. I mean, he might not have had a very quick first lap, and he might just wanted to retain some caution first time out.
Yeah, that's true. And we know again with the new tyre model that's run on the Skippy at the moment is it improves as the race goes on. It gets better as it gets temperature in it, which is different to some of the other cars on iRacing at the moment. So the first lap may well be where it's the most greasy, and then after that he can pick up time. But if he needs to get a wriggle on, because the front 3 are going to try and do a Houdini and just disappear.
And at the moment we've got 3 GR Racing machines. That's George Streetley, followed by Martin Peck, followed by Rob Green in the green and white machines, and then the 2 SS Racings are up in front, and we've also got the 2 purple helmet racing vehicles are split by Savidovic, and in fact one of them just pulls out. Mark Mercer's going to have a go down the inside as we come into the turn 5 for the second time. He will take that position from Townend, but Townend's going to fight back. No, he's not. So he's rescinded the position, and Townend is now going to come under pressure from Savidovic, who'll be right behind him.
Yeah, and we've seen last week that Wodge is not forwarding, going backwards, is he? So
and the top
this
3.
would be good for Paul Grillo if the 3 of them start tripping each other up, mind.
Well, they do have a second advantage at the moment, roughly, on the track. Grillo's just dropped back a little bit. If they do slow each other up, it'll be good for the rest of the pack. But these guys, even when they're slow, they're not slow, are they?
No, and I'll be honest, that doesn't look like a second to me. That looks like they've lost a couple of car lengths there. They definitely look closer.
It's 0.9 on the track from Savidovic to Grillo at the moment. And we'll see what happens as we come over the start-finish line. They're back in the draft now. That train of GR Racing machines is still going at it. They're staying in line for the most part, but they're still on the pace. And that gap is pretty static, you know. It's about a second, and it's been about a second for a while now. So Savidovic and the rest of the pack not able to pull out quite as much as they would have liked. So Grillo is under pressure from Hulbert.
Yeah,
now.
Hulbert's on him like a dog on a piece of meat here. He's got no intention of sitting behind him.
So first you call him a Brillo pad, and you call the guy behind him a dog.
I didn't say that. I said he's like one.
He's like
frenzied,
okay.
Probably frenzied, foaming at the mouth back there, I think, at the minute.
I've never seen a dog drive quite like Simon Hulbert, I've got to say, as he pulls out down the main straight to have a go at Paul Grillo, and he'll take this position quite comfortably, I feel.
Yep. Textbook pass as well.
And Hulbert will now be on the chase of the front 3 because he knows he's got the pace. Didn't qualify as well, but if he can keep it all in check, he should be able to catch up with these guys up in front. No change at the front yet.
No, and there's a big train of guys here. There's George Streetley there, behind Simon Povey, then Martin Peck behind him. George Streetley just saying to the rest of the GR Racing boys, come on, let's work as a team and do it my way.
So Streetley is the first amongst the GR Racing team at the moment. The other two are just in your picture as we look back from his Skip Barber at the moment. Just rounding out the third lap here. We've got 15 laps, so another 12 laps to go. And no sign of this race slowing down.
Front three using all the track plus some extra.
Well, it's tempting, isn't it, to get as much gravel as possible. I mean, these cars don't react well to it, but it doesn't mean that it's not tempting. Mercer still got the lead, although not comfortably at this stage. Townend is right on the back of him.
This could, if these front three can just trip each other up a little bit, this could be a cracking race.
Well, it's already shaping up to be, isn't it? And down to 8th place, Martin Peck. And then we've got a gap because Rob Green has now fallen 2 seconds behind. So he's just got Andy Kirchtor and Peter Cowan behind him. 12th place is Sam Everest, and the 4th GR Racing machine, George Lambert, has dropped behind Sam Everest in 13th place.
Yeah, George left himself a bit of a mountain to climb there. I think he needs to get up to the rest of the GR cars.
And Povey now down the inside of Paul Grillo, and he didn't give him a lot of room there, did he? And Grillo's going to retain it. Povey will not be happy about that, but he was down the inside, but had to back out of it in the end. Grillo's determined to hold on to that position, isn't he?
He is, and you know, that's not too bad. I think he's given him a little bit of racing room. Not an awful lot, but he's, you know, that's okay. You're not here to win friends. It's not a beauty contest, is it?
No, well, these guys certainly wouldn't be in with a chance if it was. And Streetley is right behind these two as well, Povey and Grillo. There's a red car of Grillo just up in front with the purple car of Povey just behind. And he's going to benefit if those two scrap it out. And
Simon Hulbert has made some good progress up to the back of these guys as well. He's pulled right into that, and he's probably picking up the benefits of the tow behind Wadger.
Streetley down over the start-finish straight to join lap 5. As yes, you can see in the distance there the train of the first three has been joined by Hulbert now, so Povey will be looking to get past Grillo as quickly as possible.
He's going to scrape through.
It's a very difficult, fast left-hander, this one. All the cars make it through there okay at the moment. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get in the slipstream down this back straight.
Yeah, it's a tricky right hand, that corner of the right-hander onto the straight there. It's not quite a hairpin, it's more of a double apex, but it's a very tricky corner to get right. There's a bit of camber that just draws you in and then throws the car around, so if you can get a good run out of there, you get a really good opportunity to pass, and he's making a move now, actually.
Povey's having another look, isn't he, down the inside. Grillo's not giving him any leeway at all, but he's going to have to give it up this time. And also, Streetley's looking for a way through, but he won't find it this time as Grillo holds on to that 6th position. Povey's now up into 5th, so the SS Racing boys are making up some positions there. 2 GR Racing machines are now threatening Paul Grillo as we're on lap 5, so plenty of time for these guys to carry this on. As look at those 2 GRs behind there. That's Streetley and Peck, and Peck was last time's winner, so we wanted to make it a little bit higher than 8th, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. He's if he wants to get into himself, give himself a shot at the championship, he needs to make a few places up.
And we saw Mercer do very well at Road America, and then he really suffered when it came to Gilles Villeneuve last week, so he'll be happy to be out in the front again. But that pack is now.
It's a 4-man battle now, isn't it?
It is a 4-man battle, so let's rejoin that for the moment.
Mark Mercer last week as well, again, I should say that he didn't have the best run ever, but he was in a solid 4th place, was running quite happily in 4th place, made a bit of a mistake, picked up some damage, dropped back, and was able to fight his way back to 4th. So even though that's not necessarily the result he'll have wanted, that's one of those hard-earned races where the points can actually prove crucial later in a championship.
Just joining a little bit further down the field now, Richard Sobolewski is in 16th position. Just behind him is the snot green machine of Dave Grunhill. We were talking about that one last week before it got shafted off the track by Luke Ridgway, and Robert Fagg is just behind him. Stevens behind him, and Grunhill sideways. Oh dear, what has happened there? That is terrible. They have taken each other out. Grunhill looked to be the perpetrator there, was he? Let's have another look. As we picked that one up on the replay. I was trying to work out who was where, and they all just decided to...
He is going to be cursing your name. The second you pick him up and abuse his car, he has an incident every time.
Well, he's got distracted by his own paint job there because he's got wide. Yeah, he's got wide. He's got loose. And that is... Yeah, that's Robert Fagg. And Robert Fagg's actually turned over there. What a miraculous escape for Stevens as he just glides through the middle of that pack and somehow escapes that.
Ellis Teflon Stevens living up to his usual reputation there and just scraping through somehow while everybody else gets wrecked.
Well, I'm wondering if we might be able to have another look at that from the perspective of Ellis Stevens, because that would have happened very, very quickly for him. Let's have a look. Grunnell gets out of shape. I was watching that on the replay now, and well, he can see what's going on here, and wow, that is close. He so nearly gets collected by the spinning Grunnell, but takes to the grass voluntarily, keeps it in check, and that is how to avoid an accident, ladies and gentlemen, if you want us to know at home. So
there's a fine line between the ultimate in skill and the ultimate in jammy. Yeah. I'm not sure what that paint job's supposed to represent, mind you. I think we'll leave that one left unsaid.
Well, let's get back to the leaders now, as we don't want to curse anyone else with any kind of collisions, as Townend is down the inside of Mercer and takes the position. Mercer's going to fight back on the outside. This has really tightened them up, and wow, Hulbert had to stamp on the brakes to avoid colliding with the back of Savidovic, and the lead has gone back to Blake Townend. Let's see if we can go back and have a quick look at what might have happened down the start-finish straight. Townend in the slipstream there, just coming out there, and Hulbert's pulled out wide to try and have a look at Savidovic as well, but you can see Townend is well down the inside there and quite comfortably takes that position. Go back to the live feed then. Mercer's now down to second.
They're all chopping and changing, and Simon Povey and Paul Grillo are having a bit more of a scrap again there, renewing their little relationship and trying to do a little tango together.
So Grillo's not given up, has he? I mean, he's not quite on the pace of the leaders, but he's not far off.
No, but again, I mean, if he senses that he's got an opportunity this race where perhaps he normally wouldn't have, then he's going to want to make the most of it. So he's going to fight tooth and nail for every inch. It's good to see.
Well, Grillo's much improved over last week in terms of track position, and he's still got one of the GR racing machines right behind him. That is George Streetley just behind, and Streetley's not giving up, is he? He's a 4,000 odd iRating, so he's not slow by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I think if you were to look at the respective iRatings of the top 5 or 6 guys in here, it would probably reduce the amateurs like us to tears.
Well, indeed, and I'll leave the viewers to look up my own iRating in their own time. We certainly won't be covering it on this show. Streetley now picks up the back of this 3-car train. It's the battle for 5th place with Povey out in front, Grillo, and then Streetley at the back there. And Peck has fallen off the pace just a little bit. It doesn't seem to be quite as quick here at Okayama.
No, I wonder if there was something wasn't going on a little bit there, because they were quite close together, and then when we've come back to it, there's Simon Povey has had to repass Paul Grillo, and the 2 guys behind have lost a bit of room, so...
And we're just coming to a little bit of a battle now. Dan Hunt is down the inside of Alan Patterson. Ellis Stevens is lurking in the background there as well. Dan Hunt takes the place. Does he? Yes, Dan Hunt takes the place to go into 17th position. Patterson is pushed down to 18th there. Nice overtake from Hunt there. He'll be pleased to be up in the teens. And just look at the back end of that car getting a bit wide. And Patterson has now taken a little bit too much grass there. Stevens is down the inside. Stevens takes the position, so Patterson's dropped 2 positions in half a lap there, and he's down to 19th for Team No Grip, and it does look like he's struggling with the grip, ironically enough, on the track. And just behind this battle as well, we've got...
Mark Mercer and Blake still having a good little 2-way scrap up the front here. They seem to have pulled a little ground on the 2 behind him again. I don't think Simon Hulbert's going to be overly chuffed at him and Wadge are getting tangled up again. I think... the jovial end to the race last week may well be thrown right out the window if those 2 tangle again.
So if we look at Mercer now, we've got 1.1 seconds now back to Simon Hulbert, that purple machine, the number 64.
Oh, he's got to run, here he goes.
Yep, he's down the inside again. and he's got him.
Yep, I think Blake lifted a little early there.
Well, all he's got to do really is stay in that draft, stay on the tailpipe of Mercer's Skip Barber up in front, and he won't have any problems. And it's just going to be a case of drafting your way to a last lap overtake, isn't it? I say just.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure you get enough run out of that last corner onto the start straight to be able to do it. I think the back straight is the critical one.
Povey is now under threat from Grillo, and Streetley is keeping a keen eye on them both. Povey's still in 5th place, but old Grillo's dropped a little bit further back now, and he's having to defend from Streetley. But I thought Grillo was about to make a move there, and maybe thought better of it, or maybe didn't quite get the exit from one of those corners that he wanted.
No, I wouldn't worry too much. If he gets the opportunity, he's going to give him the monster treatment.
Dropping a little bit further down the field to the second of the Radicals Racing machines, it's Andy Kirchtort, who has George Lambert right behind him, and Peter Cowan is not far behind either. So that's the red and black machine there, just trying to break the toe, taking the inside line there. He's forcing Lambert down to the outside. He's perfectly entitled to do that. That was just one switch of direction, but he's compromised his exit now on the first corner, so cuts back across the track. Oh, that could have landed nastily. I hope he's aware of what's going on in his mirrors, and Lambert is stuck back there in 11th still. He's going for it.
Yeah, they go.
Kirchtort's got the inside line now.
This one could end in tears. I think George is going to have to let him have this one, I think.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Lambert's going to be able to do in the slipstream. Oh, and Cowan, where did Cowan come from? And a great exit from Cowan from that last corner and down the start, not the start finish straight, down the back straight. Cowan's actually in Kirchtort's draft, and interestingly Lambert's decided not to pick up any kind of draft there, and he'll suffer as a result. Kirchtort's got very defensive.
I think Peter Cowan's thought better of that one.
Well, Lambert did alright in actual fact. Well, we have no change for position after all that. The 3 cars come out of that in the same order.
I think Andy Kay got a little bit fortunate that George had to worry about what Peter was going to do, and Peter, I think, thought better than taking it 3 wide, lifted out of it a little bit. But I think Andy's a little bit fortunate there.
As we go on board with Peter Cowan, a nice marzipan coloured gloves. I wonder where he bought those from.
Might have got them off one of the T-Man Summers guys, I think.
Yeah, quite possibly. Down the start finish straight for the 11th time, and coming on to, the 10th time, coming on to lap 11. Peter Cowan is chasing the back there of George Lambert, and Lambert again doesn't have a run this time on Kirchtort, and Cowan much later on the brakes there, gets a much better exit from turn 1, but he needs to make this work for him. It'll be interesting to stay with this battle down the long straight again and see what happens there. And he's suffered in turn 2 a little bit, and keeps it clean for the exit. Kirchtort might be under pressure here from Lambert. This should be interesting to see what happens here. Lambert down the outside, Kirchtort staying defensive there. A little wiggle from Cowan.
Simon Hulbert, meanwhile, in 3rd place, is catching the front 2 hand over fist. His last lap was a 44.2, which is quicker than anything we've seen all race weekend practice qualifying the lot. And he's with him now. He's all over him.
We'll come to that battle in just a moment, because Kirchtort holds on once again to 11th, but Lambert's around the outside, can't make it work. Will he take a dive down the... No, he won't. He's sensible enough to avoid that tactic, so they come out of that again in the same position that they were last lap. But this is where Simon Hulbert is at right now, and Savidovic has stayed with the pack as well. He's been pushed down to 4th, of course. Mercer is the leader, Townend 2nd, Hulbert 3rd, and Savidovic is 4th, but there's nothing to choose between any of these guys, Matt.
No, absolutely. I mean, if I had to put money on it right now, I think I'd be looking in Simon Hulbert's direction. The way he's caught these two up, his last lap was, like I said, was a 44.2, is a staggering pace.
Nose to tail, absolute trust from these guys to keep their braking points in exact coordination as they do as well, and there's a couple of feet between the cars through those corners.
Yeah, and of course these 3, are just allowing Watch to catch them up again as well, so this is the 3-way's about to become a 4-way, so they've obviously got a taste for the extravagant.
Hard on the brakes, and now they're turning onto the main straight. This is where the draft comes into effect. are any of these drivers going to use it this time round, as the purple 64 machine has been looking the most threatening of this particular bunch. They've all gone pretty defensive down the inside there. Townend's been taken to the outside, and Hulbert had to think about following him, but not this time.
No, I think he's going to try and hold the inside line, and then when Blake runs wide, he's going to try and force him out.
So we'll stay on these guys for now, and Townend just about holds onto it, but Hulbert had his nose around the outside there, and does well to keep the car under control.
That's such a tricky corner, that downhill
Sideways
left-hander as well.
Oh, Hulbert had a very nasty sideways moment and held it well.
And he's having to defend from Wodge now.
Well, the exit to that corner from Hulbert was going to be very slow, so understandably he didn't want to hand that position over, which would have cost them both time, and that's what happened last week, wasn't it?
It was. This is a cracking race, though.
Yeah, it really is, and it's just worth mentioning as well, the 5th place Simon Povey is still being chased by Grillo and Streetley, and none of these drivers have managed to pull out any ground from each other, and they're just going at it again. They're still going at it, and Peck has dropped off a little bit, but only a second, and that's Rob Green in the background in 9th place. And the battle behind them, Kirchtort, we saw that battle before. Kirchtort from Lambert, and then Cowan in the orange car behind. But Everest has caught right up onto the back of them.
I think George Streetley just made a mistake there. I think he's dropped the position. Yeah, he just got wide going into the first corner.
Let's have a quick look at that once again. Coming down the start-finish straight there, we've got Streetley, and then Grillo's up in front, and Povey.
Oh! Simon Hulbert's blown his engine.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's dramatic. Well, we're just seeing Streetley go off
back
the track there. So we're on a replay of Hulbert at the moment, and he is following Townend as they come through the S's here to the first tight corner. He's gone around there fine. He's still right on the back of Townend. Coming down the start-finish straight now. Oh! And it's gone.
Yeah, she's gone.
Lost it. And he
Wow.
pulls off to the side of the track, and that was quite dramatic, wasn't it? Yeah, we're just watching another replay.
That's
of
incredible.
That one.
I don't know if he missed gear.
Oh, and you can see it in the mirror there, and he's disappointed with that one, isn't he? But what could have caused that?
I mean, he could have missed a gear. He could have just been. I mean, he was giving it pretty.
If you miss a gear and you change up 2 instead of 1, you don't blow your engine.
No, but if he's found a neutral. But he was hammering it pretty hard to try and catch the guys in front. So if he's stressed it a little bit, it can go pop. Be interesting to try and get a word with him afterwards and see what's going on. If assuming he's actually capable of speech, because I would guess at the minute there's probably a few words coming out, but none that you could broadcast.
3 laps left as well. What a time to do that! And running so well in the series, it's been a while since he hasn't been on the podium, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. Townend just poking his nose out there at the front, having a look. Mercer with one of the less interesting front end liveries at the front of the pack there, just solid blue, but gets the job done.
I think he's quite possible he's looked at everybody else and just thought, screw this, I'm just going to pick a plain colour.
And that just at the front of your
Blake's
picture
gone
there.
for the inside there.
And he's going to switch back to the outside.
I suspect there'll be some choice words from Wodge on that one as well.
So Savidovic has got his eyes on these 2 up front, but there's 2 back markers there. One of them gets out of the way on the grass. Yep. That's Ellis Stevens, I believe, just getting out of the way.
Ellis just decides he's going to bail out of that, and then probably bails out of it in a more spectacular fashion. Steve Heffer gets mobbed as well. Blake's using that as an opportunity as well.
Just look at the car control these guys have got. They're so close, and they never touch, do they?
No.
Townend
the difference between the guys with 5,000 IR and all of us with 1,300.
And no change for position at the front. But we are now coming on to the last lap, so who's your money on to take this one?
My money is on Simon Povey. I think these 3 guys are. They're either going to. Yeah, I think these 3 guys are either going to win it or they're going to bin it. And at the moment, if I had to put my money on it, I'd go for the clash.
Well, Povey, of course, running 4th now instead of... No, he's not, is he?
Yep, Wodge has blown up as well. Watch has just blown his up, so that leaves the front two battling.
What has happened to Zavidovic there? There's 2 engines gone and he's gone.
It's funny, I always thought Dodge provided the engine on these, but the way they're popping now, it might have been Ford. In fact, they're Mazdas, aren't they?
Wow, yeah, they are Mazda engines, but you got to treat them pretty rough to get something like that out. And Zavidovic is now out of the race as well.
Look at these two, wheel to wheel.
But Peck is in 3rd position here.
Is he? I'm going to start nicknaming him Houdini, because last week he was
well, how did Peck get there? And Peck and Streatley are fighting that out, and this is going to be right down to the wire. I put the kiss of death.
I put the commentator's curse on Simon Povey, I think, didn't I?
Well, I don't know. He's made up a position overall. He would have been 3rd with the 2 blown engines, but well, now down the inside is Streatley. He's not going to make that work. Just a few corners to go now, and Peck's 3rd. Peck is 3rd. How did Peck get in 3rd position? That's unbelievable. I do not know how he got there. So many engines blowing up right, left and centre that we didn't have any chance to find out, but a great drive from Mark Mercer.
Great drive from Mark Mercer, yep.
Brilliant drive from Townend. He'll be coming in 2nd, but could have easily had the win there. That's a back marker with a red tip on the nose, and as we have a look back there for Povey, he's going down the inside, he won't get it. Peck's got 3rd. And Streatley, what's happened to Streatley? Streatley's blown his engine.
He's gone pop as well.
George Streatley has blown his engine. He won't finish this race. Let's try and go back and see what happened then. Streatley was going. Well, he was in 5th position on the last corner of the race. Streatley's blown his engine.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
What have Mazda been doing with those engines there? They must have had a supply off their parent company or something, because
if there's one place on the circuit you do not want to blow your engine, it's on the final corner of the race, and that is tragic for Streatley. I was about to say how he's coming home in 5th place, but no finish for Streatley. What a disaster. Grillo as well, something's happened to Grillo because he's down in 17th position, so we didn't see that.
That's unlucky as well. What a race, what a race. Couldn't figure out what's going on. Nobody knows who's gone where. The front 2 have done a great job and finished 1st and 2nd. I wonder if there'll be some afters from the last lap there, because they were some very aggressive defending.
Well, once again the iRacing Skip Barber series proves to be highly entertaining. We've seen 3 blown engines, and there might have been more than that, we just didn't see them, but Streatley blowing his engine on the final corner from 5th place to lose out. That gives 5th place to Rob Green, and Zavidovic would have had 3rd. Hulbert would have had 3rd as well, wouldn't he? But they both blew their engines for some reason.
Yeah, Simon Hulbert, did a great job of catching the guys back up. I mean, I'm pretty sure a 44.2 is fastest lap of the race.
And that, folks, is 15 laps from Okayama International Circuit for round 5 of the iRacing Skip Barber series. We don't have an opportunity to talk to any of the front runners this evening, unfortunately. Maybe we can sort out some kind of interviews with those guys, because as Matt says, I would love to have had a word with Hulbert and Zavidovic and find out just exactly what happened there, but
well, I'm not sure you would, judging by some of what he's saying in the race session chat here. I think you'd have got a word, all right.
So there's 11 to 20, and 19 cars finishing on the lead lap. And actually, Hulbert did manage to finish on the lead lap, having blown his engine. So we got a new car out there quickly.
Yeah, I didn't realise that, but they must have included a reset on you. So.
See if we can get a quick word with 27th place finisher Dan Hunt. Dan, I'm wondering if you're around. Are you there, Dan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Evening, Dan. Dan Hunt, driving for Team Castrol, the newly formed Team Castrol. How was that for you?
It was good up until lap 12.
A bit of an incident on lap 12.
Yeah, Richard went into the back of me and pretty much ruined my car.
That's a little bit unfortunate, finishing 3 laps down there, but it's a tough drive, Okayama, with the skip, isn't it?
Yeah, very hard. I don't really get on with this car that much, to be honest, but yeah, it was fun.
And we saw 3 blown engines in that race alone. So, any particular reason you can think of? Anything you had to be careful of to avoid blowing it?
I didn't seem to have any problems there, but I assume people changing down gear too quickly.
Well, it's a tough one because we lost 3 of the top 5 to blown engines, believe it or not. But it wouldn't have helped you, unfortunately, come back from 3 laps down. But how overall, I mean, how's the series working out for you? You haven't had the highest place finishes, but you haven't had the lowest either.
No, it's not going too badly. It's hard. There's a lot of fast drivers out there, but it's all about fun, really.
I think that's it, isn't it? As long as you're having fun with the series, then
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think you did well there, Dan, and lived up to your challenge. You were a little bit too hard to give you any grief during the race, and just watching your little incident there, and wow, he's jammed that in there like a Vietnamese girl with a ping pong ball, isn't he? He's
That's one way of putting it, Matt. Thanks very much for joining us, Dan, and better luck next week.
No problems. Cheers.
So 1 race a week in this series, and we're now 5 rounds in. The question is, can Hulbert recover from that? That must have been quite a shock for him not finishing this race.
That's a huge blow. I'm not sure what was causing the engine blow-ups there, but there were a couple of them that suffered. Simon, though, clearly has the pace. Maybe put that one down as a drop week and carry on. I'm sure the other guys are going to have bad weeks as well. The racing's that close. There's no way they can survive an entire series without an incident. So,
of course, yeah, and we saw that at Gilles Villeneuve last week as well. But Sredovic also lost his engine. So the top 2 guys, to be fair, they did score some points. I mean, Hulbert would have come away from that with 2 points, but it's not going to help him too much. So that gives the other guys, Peck and co, a good chance to catch up in the series, and they'll jump on that, won't they?
yeah, absolutely. You've got to take every opportunity you can get, and
well, that's about it from Okayama this week. Thanks very much for joining us. The World Tour, the British Touring Car Championship, will be at this same venue on Thursday. That's the 5th of December, right here on BSR TV from 8 PM UK time. So I hope you can join us for that one as well. Looking forward to that. And Skip Barber coverage will resume at the same time next week. Thanks a lot, Matt. Thanks a lot to everyone who's watched this evening, and I'll see you next time.